இனிமே கண்ணை மூடிட்டு கடலை எண்ணெய் வாங்கலாம். ஏன்னா மந்த்ரா கடலை எண்ணெய் இதயத்தின் தயாரிப்பு.
Namaskaram to all. It has been my long desire to meet Ranganathan. I have become his fan for quite a time. You know, looking back as this book is being released, 1970s, late 60s, it was such a humiliating thing to be known as a Hindu, even more humiliating to say one is a Hindu, much more humiliating to say one is a Brahmin. You know, that is the time we all grew up. From this vantage point of where we are today, when we look back, this 50, 60 years of transition has been massive for a man in the autumn of his life. That such a change could take place in this country. That where the word dharma itself was reduced to a sectarian idea, we could articulate dharma in a proud and confident manner. We never thought. We all thought, in fact, it was much worse to be in RSS. I was Hindu, I was a Brahmin, I was RSS. And I had the fortune of being one of the well-known professionals in my late 20s. And I was a sought-after professional. But I was looked down upon because I was an RSS man. By my own friends, by my clients. And to be in the media was a bloodhound. It continues to be so. And in the media, to function among editors, they will always tend to think that there is much to educate this boy. That was the situation in which I became the advisor to the Indian Express. You can understand at the time, Mulgaonkar, Ajit Bhattacharya, Kuldeep Nayar, they were all the standard setters. You know, there was pitch darkness everywhere. And that was where Naminarayan is sitting here, my colleagues in the RSS. The kind of humiliation all of us underwent at the time, we had only one hope, that this country cannot be snuffed out. Our dharma cannot be snuffed out. That there is something much deeper than what we see outside. There is an inner strength, there is a spiritual strength. That is what kept us going, not the number of people who are with us. We are very little support anywhere to look at, in politics, in society, in community. From there, from this vantage point, when I look back, that's what I told my colleagues. In fact, I told this to Rahul when he sent the copy of the book to me, that I am so happy that there are so many young, bright people today to do the work which was considered to be so offensive and so humiliating. So this country has come too much more than what I thought in my 20s and 30s. And I consider this book as an outcome of that ecosystem change. I was a fortunate person. I was respected in the society, in the professional circles, in the business circles. Even in the media, personally, I was respected and accepted, but not my views. It was considered to be something Neanderthal in the light of the contemporary civilization, Western civilization. So from this, I would like to share some of my thoughts about what we have been denied in respect of our knowledge about what our civilization is. Before that, I would like to mention that there is a huge change taking place in the world itself. We all started with the one-size-fits-all model which the West set out in 1951. The United Nations document for development of underdeveloped societies said that you have to give up your philosophy, your value, your culture if you want to develop. This was an official declaration which had such a binding and persuasive effect all over the world in all countries, particularly countries which were looking to development, more democracies, which had much more closer relationship with the West. And we were told, our sociology departments, our economics departments, our literature departments, they all expounded this view. Unless you cease to be what you are or what you were, you can never develop. You know, it is such a powerful and persuasive argument. And that's how the whole idea of de-Hinduization of India began, because all the ills of India were put at the doors of the Hindu society, Hindu philosophy, Hindu value systems, Hindu way of life. It was not one of those social arguments or philosophic arguments. It is earthy, economic. This was called one-size-fits-all model. We all fought against it. When we ran the Swadeshi Jagran Manch campaign against globalization, when I was talking in the Administrative Staff College of India, at the time I was probably the only person articulating the alternative viewpoint, because the entire world had defected to one point, towards one side, towards one thought, towards one dress, towards one language. So when I spoke about how globalization is going to be a disaster, one person stood up and said, people like you must be shot dead because you are taking the country 500 years back. That was the atmosphere. As late as 1994. So, we were evangelized, educated, accustomed to think that we should cease to be what we are if we have to develop. The present generation will not even know the kind of pain that people underwent. I have seen very ordinary RSS workers suffering humiliation at home, in their communities, in their localities. It's 100-year penance of RSS that has produced a Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi is the cutting edge of the battle that the RSS fought for 100 years. It's not an ordinary battle. Thousands and thousands of people worked and passed away without their name being known even in the organization. Slowly, at personal level, at localities, huge shift took place. And of course, Ram Janmabhoomi acted as the catalyst for the mighty energy that the RSS had generated into a mass movement. I was part of it. I'm proud that I was part of such a massive shift. And I was also deeply involved in organizing the opposition parties and fighting Rajiv Gandhi. Bofors issue came. Everything came as if it is a series of accidents moving towards a final destination, that is the rise of India. Today we are in a very different position. We are in a happy position. We are in a confident situation to fight for what our two generations had lost for us. The two generations which were born after independence failed India. The generations which were born before independence fought and died for India. The subsequent generations thought once we got freedom, we accomplished everything, and they forgot. They became IAS officers, they became lawyers, they became chartered accountants, they became professors. They lost all that spirit which drove the freedom movement. So when I was asked to write on the day on which the Supreme Court declared that there should be no Kar Seva. 3 lakh people had assembled there to do Kar Seva. The Supreme Court said, nothing doing. You should keep quiet. So I was asked to write a statement for the BJP. In this country, all that drove the freedom movement, whether it is the song Vande Mataram, or the philosophy of Sanatana Dharma and Hindu nationalism, or the idea of Ramarajya, all that had become not only irrelevant, but as something to be discarded if we have to move forward. And Ram Janmabhoomi represents all these 3. It is recalling those virtues which the freedom movement generated and which the generations after the freedom movement lost because of their own selfish ends. People wanted to be what they are. Before freedom, everybody wanted to work for the country. I am talking about everybody means every sensible, capable, honorable and capable person. Subsequently, all became pursuing careers. When I wrote that statement, Sikandar Bhatt was one of the leaders of the BJP. He said it doesn't look like a statement. It looks like a song. You know, we were all driven by desperation on the one side and hope on the other. The single movement that transformed the country was the Ram Janmabhoomi movement. And you see the opening of the Ram temple, what it did to the country. Ram was regarded as a divisive person in 1992, in 1989, I mean, people even denied the existence of Rama. But the same Ram. 65 crore people witnessed the Ram Janmabhoomi opening ceremony. 65 crore people all over the world. People cried. In fact, I can even mention the name of the person. The Indian Express managing director's wife, Ananya Goenka, is a very good friend of mine. She rang up and said, Guru, I was in the function. I don't know why. I cried for 15 minutes uncontrollably. I cannot even say why. That is Indian spirit. It cannot be divorced from Rama. It cannot be divorced from Hinduism. It cannot be divorced from Dharma. This is what has bound us. It's an inquiet, a completely, it cannot be discernible to eyes, which has bound us together. The length and breadth of India, which all great men have seen, but which the secular India felt was a danger to not only them, but to the entire country and to the world. So we are rising today. So I am extremely happy to participate in this function for the release of this book, which is not just political. It envelops a wide variety of ideas, issues, the challenges that we have faced and we will continue to face. I only will park 3 points for us moving forward. See, we are going to have a massive challenge. The liberal world will pose to us increasingly from outside India and within India. We have pincers, we have the reagents, we have a widespread anachara, which is enveloping a very significant section of our educated people. And women are, particularly young women, are becoming victims of it. So we have to be very, very careful in facing up to this challenge. We have to build a proper narrative. We have got to ensure that we have to ensure that the contemporary world is linked with relevance to our past. Of course, it's already getting linked. In fact, much of it we do not know. So, the first thing is that we have to develop proper narratives. And I had occasion to discuss this issue with Vikram Sampath, who had come and met me. We had about 3 hours of discussion. We have to reorient the writing of our history, is something which we have been saying for the last several years. And this feeling cuts across even the political division that our history has not been written properly. We have to write it properly, but we need a theory of history. You cannot be finding human behavior through broken monuments. There is a continuity of the Indian civilization which has been denied to all other civilization, which has been accepted by even a West-centric document, Encyclopedia Britannica. It says a 5,000-year physical continuity of a civilization on a standalone basis is the Indian civilization. This remark came from one child who was an Australian epigraphist. He said that this is standalone. It has nothing to do with the Babylonian. It has nothing to do with Egyptian. It's a standalone Indian continuity. This is not what we are teaching in our books. So this continuity, and it's not physical continuity, it is a continuity of ideas. We discussed the idea of Vedas. Vedas are supposed to be meaningless sounds. Somebody shouting, it's going up and coming down. It has been captured in a language later. It dated pre-script period. So it is meaningless. Somebody is shouting and you keep on 5,000 years we have kept the phonetic effect of the Vedas is something which is unbelievable in human civilization. The same sound, the same phonetic. Nobody inquired into how this happened. And they said Saraswati river is not there. And so Vedas which spoke about Saraswati river is fake. But now there is a huge hydrological and other findings which show that Saraswati indeed existed. If Saraswati existed, Vedas are not imaginary. Second, Vedas are supposed to be just sounds, meaningless sounds. But Nobel laureates, at least a dozen Nobel science laureates have said that the answers to the contemporary questions of modern science is to be found in Vedas and Upanishads. If Vedas and Upanishads contain scientific facts which the modern science cannot fathom, Vedic rishis were not poets. They were scientists. You don't understand that science. Now we are talking about a universal consciousness of which you are an integral part. Who thought of that universal consciousness that all of us are a part of? Unless we position the Indian narrative around these ideas which even the West is not only willing to accept but also willing to expound. So our narrative has to be linked to our basic sources. That's what the Prime Minister is trying to do. You see, basically, we have got to clear certain cobwebs. For example, when we had a discussion about how we should project India abroad, one of the things which we use is the word ideology. The word ideology does not fit into the Hindu civilization at all. We follow darshanas, approximately equal to philosophy. So we had a discussion in the government of India as to how we should project this. The Prime Minister took the position in America in his first visit. We don't have anything called ideology. Ideology means that what you think is right, what the other man thinks is wrong. And you know, it is not some philosopher who spoke this. It is Bill Clinton who spoke this. There is a difference between philosophy and ideology. Philosophy thinks the other man has a viewpoint. Ideology thinks the other man is wrong. Ideology is the source of clash. Ideology is the product of Christianity. It was drawn into communism. You know, this is the place in 1993 I delivered a lecture, 94 I think, on communism. How the whole world was mesmerized by a blind thought. It was a blind spot. That is ideology. Ideology is against any kind of enlightenment. Philosophy promotes enlightenment. All these will have to be woven into our narrative. The modern mind will capture it. The youths will capture it. The media will lap it up. 30 years before, if he had spoken like this, nobody would have minded. Narendra Modi has brought about an ecosystem change in which these thoughts will resonate with the contemporary world, contemporary people, contemporary youth. Of course, I am not one of those who says go and change the education system. Nobody can change it so long as IAS officers are there. The society will have to change the education system. Government cannot. One IAS officer putting a positive idea, another idea person will ensure it doesn't happen. This is the system we have created and suffered for the last 75 years, and we will continue to suffer because there is no alternative to it. Why I am saying all this before these youngsters is that they are much more capable of doing the kind of work that I wanted to do, could not do because of the oppressive system. There is a release for them. So I told him my hope rests on people like you, people like Vikram Sampath, people like Rahul Shivshankar. When I see all of them, I feel so happy that we worked for an India which produced such people and more. Thank you very much.